You wake up and it feels familiar. Not the room, not the air, but the heaviness. The same kind of pain disguised in a new form. A different face, a different story, but the same wound, opening again. You tell yourself this time because it's not the world that keeps hurting you. It's the patterns you refuse to break. It is the patterns you refuse to break. Most people live as prisoners of repetition. They chase different lovers but meet the same heartbreak. They switch jobs but face the same disrespect. They escape one city, only to find their demons waiting in the next. The Stoics saw this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, men who understood the mind's most dangerous habit, to repeat what it hasn't understood. They taught that pain doesn't vanish with time. It transforms into cycles. Until you face the lesson buried beneath your suffering, you will live it again, and again, and again. This isn't about controlling the world. It's about mastering yourself, your emotions, your interpretations, your attachments. Because as long as you refuse to look within, life will keep sending you mirrors disguised as enemies, lovers, and failures. This video isn't a quick fix. It's a psychological confrontation. You'll uncover 5 Stoic lessons that break the cycle, the same wisdom emperors and slaves used to master fate itself. But fair warning, what you learn here may cost you your comfort. Stay till the end. Lesson number 5 exposes a truth most people will never face. 1. Detach from the drama. Marcus Aurelius. You suffer more from your reaction than from reality. The event itself is neutral. It is the story you tell yourself that turns it into torment. Pain isn't what breaks you. Attachment is. Imagine this. You're the emperor of Rome. The world bows when you speak. Armies await your command. Yet every day, you wake surrounded by liars, opportunists, and betrayal wrapped in smiles. Your generals scheme for power. Your own blood, your son Commodus, grows entitled and corrupt. Everywhere you look, chaos whispers, react, rage, defend yourself. But instead of drowning in outrage, you do something rare. You observe. You sit in the stillness of your mind and write in your journal. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. Marcus Aurelius didn't escape the storm. He became the calm within it. He understood that every emotional outburst is a chain. Each reaction gives power to something outside of you, a person, an insult, a betrayal. And every time you react, you tell the world, you control me. This is where the first Stoic lesson begins. Detach from the drama. Because the drama isn't real, it's perception amplified by ego. The Stoics called it fantasia, the mental illusion that your emotions are truth. But emotions lie. They distort, exaggerate, and trap you in loops of overreaction. Marcus understood that serenity isn't found by avoiding the world, but by mastering your interpretation of it. You can't stop the insult, the betrayal, or the loss, but you can stop the meaning you attach to it, and that's where freedom begins. Pain is inevitable. Drama is optional. The moment you stop personalizing everything, you take back your power. Because detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. You don't rise above chaos by escaping it. You rise by refusing to feed it. 2. Confront the mirror. Epictetus. You are both the jailer and the prisoner. You build your own cage, one belief, one denial, one lie at a time. And you call it life. You say you want freedom, but you fear what comes with it. The truth about yourself. Picture yourself born in chains. Your name isn't known. You serve the whims of a master who owns your body, your labor, your fate. This was Epictetus, a man who began as a slave, crippled, humiliated, forgotten. One day, his master twisted his leg during a punishment. Epictetus warned him calmly, "You will break it." The master ignored him. Snap. And with quiet certainty, Epictetus said, "Did I not tell you?" In that moment, he understood. The body can be enslaved, but the mind is untouchable. he turned inward, where no one could reach him. While others blamed fortune, he looked in the mirror and declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." He refused to play the victim, and that's when his true liberation began. You can't break a pattern you refuse to see. Every cycle you repeat, toxic relationships, emotional breakdowns, self-sabotage, starts with an illusion you protect. Epictetus taught that freedom begins with inner auditing. You must question every assumption, every emotional reflex, every convenient excuse that keeps you small. When you look honestly at your motives, your need for validation, your secret resentments, your addictions to drama, the chains start to crack. But that honesty burns. It strips away the comfort of blaming others. That's why most men never face the mirror. They'd rather suffer the familiar than confront the truth. You can't heal what you won't name. The mirror is merciless, but it's also sacred. The moment you face it, you stop being a victim of your patterns and start becoming their master. Because truth doesn't free the weak. It frees the brave. 3. Don't expect justice. Seneca. The world owes you nothing, but your ego insists otherwise. And that's why you keep getting hurt. Every time life denies you fairness, your pride bleeds, and you call it injustice. But what if it's just reality doing what it always does? Moving without mercy, without apology, without you at the center. You've served an emperor for years. You've written words that shaped the minds of Rome. Words on virtue, wisdom, self-control. And one morning, a messenger arrives. Your name is on a death warrant. The emperor you mentored, Nero, has turned on you. The same man who once sought your counsel now demands your silence, through blood. Seneca, philosopher, statesman, and once the most powerful mind in Rome, is condemned by the very system he upheld. But he doesn't curse. He doesn't beg. He simply accepts. He writes to his friends, "No one can suffer loss except he who had something to lose." Then, calmly, he opens his veins, dying as he lived, detached from expectation. Don't expect justice, not from life, not from people, not from fate, because expectation is the seed of suffering. The mind creates an image of how things should be, and then breaks when reality disagrees. Seneca understood that fairness is a human invention, not a universal law. The Stoics didn't preach pessimism, they preached alignment. To live in accordance with nature is to stop demanding that the river flow backward just to spare your feelings. Your pain persists because your ego wants control over what can be controlled, other people's actions, the randomness of loss, the indifference of time. Freedom begins when you stop bargaining with fate and start adapting to it. Stop asking, "Why me?" Ask instead, "What now?" Because the man who accepts reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be, becomes untouchable. You can't be betrayed by a world you never expected to be fair. 4. Withdraw from the herd. Marcus Aurelius. Most people don't think. They imitate. They call it living, but what they're really doing is performing. They mirror the moods of the crowd, the values of the tribe, the noise of the age, and then they wonder why their lives feel hollow, why they keep repeating someone else's mistakes. Imagine standing on the balcony of the imperial palace, looking down at the city of Rome, a sea of faces shouting, trading, killing, worshipping, gossiping. You are Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of a world collapsing under its own noise. Every senator wants approval. Every general wants glory. Every citizen wants distraction. And in that chaos, you realize something chilling. The masses are not driven by truth. They're driven by imitation. So, in the dim light of dawn, before the empire awakens, you retreat into solitude. Not to escape, but to remember who you are. You write to yourself, "The world is a dead sea of opinion. Withdraw into yourself, but first make yourself such that you can return to the world without corruption. While others seek comfort in noise, you seek command in silence, and that silence becomes your fortress, because conformity is the enemy of consciousness. The crowd doesn't think, it reacts. And if you live by reaction, you live by repetition. You keep chasing approval, validation, and applause, the same patterns disguised as purpose. But the Stoics knew, the man who cannot be alone cannot be free. Solitude isn't isolation, it's purification. It's where you unlearn the noise that others installed in your mind. It's where you remember what you actually believe, not what you've been told to. Marcus ruled an empire but never let it rule him, because true sovereignty begins in the mind, not on a throne. You can't build a fortress of peace on borrowed thoughts. Withdraw, reflect, reconstruct. And when you return to the world, do so as a creator, not a copy. The herd repeats the world. The Stoic rewrites it. 5. Use pain as a teacher. Stoic integration. Every wound you ignore becomes destiny. Pain doesn't disappear. It disguises itself. It reappears in your choices, your relationships, your failures, until you finally learn what it came to teach. You can escape people, cities, even gods, but never yourself. Picture a soldier returning from battle. He's seen death, betrayal, and loss. The noise of war has faded, but the war within him hasn't. Every sound reminds him of the chaos. Every face reminds him of what he's lost. He thinks he's broken, but he's simply untrained in the art of transforming pain. The Stoics would tell him, the obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote it during the darkest nights of plague and war. Seneca lived it as he faced betrayal and death. Epictetus embodied it, turning slavery into mastery. They all learned the same truth. Pain is a teacher dressed as an enemy. The wound you curse today may contain the wisdom you'll need tomorrow. Use pain as a teacher, because pain is information. It reveals where you're still attached, still reactive, still weak. To the average man, pain is punishment. To the Stoic, it's data. When life cuts you open, you have two choices: bleed in vain or study the wound. The Stoics believed that every trial, every humiliation, every heartbreak is training for the soul. They called it the discipline of ascent, learning to accept pain without distortion, to extract its lesson without resentment. In truth, every repeated pattern in your life is simply pain trying to educate you until you finally graduate. Stop running from your pain. Sit with it. Listen. Learn. Because the lesson you refuse to learn becomes the fate you cannot escape. Pain is not your enemy, it's your instructor. Learn well, or repeat the course. Conclusion. Break the loop. Become the master. You've seen it now. The cycle, the mirror, the illusion. You've walked through the noise of the world and the silence of the mind. And maybe, somewhere in this journey, you felt a sting. That quiet realization that your suffering wasn't random. It was self-created. That's where transformation begins. Because the truth is simple. You will keep reliving the same pain until you face it without flinching. Until you stop chasing comfort, stop blaming others, and stop waiting for the world to become fair. The Stoics didn't seek peace by escaping life. They found it in confrontation. Marcus faced betrayal. Epictetus endured slavery. Seneca met death with composure. They all understood the same law. You cannot control fate, but you can command yourself. And when you command yourself, the loop ends. This is not a philosophy for the faint-hearted. It's for those who dare to strip away their illusions, who would rather be free in hardship than comfortable in ignorance. Because mastery is not found in books or temples, it's built in solitude, in discipline, in the cold hours where no one is watching. So here's your test. When life repeats its lesson, will you react as before, or will you rise as something new? Most men will die inside their patterns, but the few who dare to observe, to detach, to learn, they evolve beyond them. They become immovable, unshaken, sovereign. Break the loop. Become the master. If this struck something inside you, share it. Subscribe to Timeless Stoic Mind, where strong minds sharpen and weak ones awaken. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more men who have conquered themselves.